Hi everyone, I'm Valerie, Digital Marketing Manager at Qubit Labs, and now I want to tell you about Ukraine IT outsourcing hubs. Now you can see the Ukraine IT outsourcing hubs on the map. Yes, let's take a look. Okay, so when hearing about Ukraine, business owners usually associate it with Kyiv, the country's capital, forgetting about the capacity of other cities. That's why I will talk about other Ukrainian IT hubs so you can learn about different opportunities. Of course, yes, it's still necessary to start with mentioning Kyiv in case you lack information about this city. One of the biggest numbers of Ukrainian IT companies is located here, namely over 300 units. Also, the capital of Ukraine boasts 55,000 tech and non-tech specialists, the overall community of which in the city is more than 45%. In Kyiv, there are 97 higher educational institutions, including famous ones like Kyiv Polytechnic University, Taras Shevchenko National University, National University of Kyiv Mohyla Academy. You can easily travel to Kyiv because it is a handful of international flights, for example, direct flights to New York, Toronto, Oslo, Stockholm, Dubai, Tel Aviv, and etc. Besides Oracle, Wargaming, Google, Microsoft, and IBM have their outsource or R&D centers in the city. Okay. What about the salaries? For example, mid-level specialists earn from $28,000 to $36,000 per year. You can see the detailed information on average annual salaries by Popular Technologies presented on this slide. Okay. Here is the evaluation of Kyiv on the basis of 4 reference points on a scale from 1 to 10, where 1 indicates bad conditions and 10, excellent. You can see that Kyiv is almost the perfect outsourcing destination in Ukraine. The only thing is that if you want to save money on development or have budget limitations, local salaries are rather high compared to other Ukrainian cities. Okay. The next destination that is really popular, with more than 18,000 IT industry specialists and more than 200 companies engaged in the sphere, is Lviv. One can easily get to Lviv because it has a bunch of international flights. There is a rapidly developing Lviv IT cluster, which helps companies skyrocket. Besides, Oracle, Siemens, Plarium, and Ericsson have their outsourcing offices in the city. Lviv is the only Ukrainian city that has implemented a strategy according to which IT is one of its priority areas. This means that the representatives of local government, businesses, and the public have come together to develop the IT industry. And when talking about salaries, on average, they start from $24,000 per year and reach $34,000 for the most popular programming languages. Also, you can see the detailed information here on this slide. What about the evaluation of Lviv? The points are a little bit lower than in Kyiv, since it is one of the most rapidly developing IT hubs in the country. The salaries, they have to match the programmers' demands. Okay, let's move on. Kharkiv. The following city is Kharkiv, which can be referred to as the accelerator of IT companies' emergence because their numbers is estimated at over 300. It has the second largest community of Ukrainian specialists, namely over 15% or 25,000. There will no problems with getting to Kharkiv because it offers a variety of international flights. The local IT community is rapidly developing, having attracted such companies as Samsung, Plarium, Oracle, and Gameloft as a promising outsourcing destination. As for salaries, the average specialist receives around $23,000 to $32,000 per year. Take a look on detailed information here on this slide. Okay. Excellent programmers, long-term history of the local market, and the proven experience level of Kharkiv developers are the factors that form a competitive environment in which appear effective teams then can implement any, even the most daring and ambitious projects. We can give 33 points in sum to Kharkiv. Okay, Dnipro. Turning now to Dnipro, I can mention that it's home to more than 150 IT companies with 15,000 industry specialists. There is an airport in the city, so you can easily travel to your outsourced office if there is a need. Speaking of its business attractiveness, Playtika, Oracle, Wix, and Sitecore have selected it to be their outsourcing destination. The salaries for the most popular programming languages vary around $20,000 to $30,000 per year. You can see the detailed information here on this slide. To sum up about Dnipro, there is an airport, but yet no many flight destination. So when visiting, one will need to spend time choosing the convenient route. As for the talent pool, the city boasts both tech and non-tech specialists, which are capable of working on projects in any IT area. Dnipro offers rather reasonable salaries to its developers, especially when compared to the cities mentioned above. However, the community of senior level programmers is lower there, so might need to go several CVs and conduct multiple interviews to find suitable employees for your project. Okay, now let's move to Odessa. Odessa is an advanced Ukrainian outsourcing hub as well, because it has more than 150 IT companies with over 8,000 professionals. It won't come with a challenge to travel to the city because it also has an international airport. Besides, a bunch of world-known companies, including Netcracker, Snap, and Plarium, saw Odessa's potential and established their remote offices there. Odessa outsources have been and remain the drivers of the region's development, not only due to the constant employment of juniors, but also because they hold and sponsor professional meetings and also professional conference. The peculiarities of the Odessa IT market include the stability of employees because they don't change their workplace as often and as easily, for example, developers in Kyiv or other big cities in Ukraine. So. An average mid-level specialist specialized in one of the most popular programming languages usually makes from $27,000 to $34,000 per year. Okay. It is easy to get to Odessa by plane because it has air connections with several destinations around the world. Also compared to the mentioned cities, Odessa has fewer programmers, but yet one can still find suitable ones, both of the tech and non-tech specialization. The city is one of the most expensive in the country, so local developers require relevant salaries, which are relatively high. Okay, You ever heard of Vinnytsia? Actually, it's rather new and fast-growing local IT hub, which comprises around 70 companies. Although the number of local developers is not as impressive as in the city mentioned above, with only 5,000 people. Vinnytsia has excellent potential. Moreover, Ericsson, CCQ, and Playtika have their offices in the city. It might be rather challenging to get to the city because there are a few airlines here. Okay, mid-level developers receive the average salaries of $23,000 per year, and the highest salary is about $35,000 annually. Also, Vinnytsia has great potential in the IT sphere. Over the past few years, a handful of IT companies were founded in the city, which creates a healthy competition necessary for their development. And also, you can see our points to Vinnytsia on this slide. Another not that popular Ukrainian IT outsourcing hub is Ivano-Frankivsk. Currently, it has around 30 companies and 3,000 specialists engaged in the IT industry, but these numbers, they are growing every month. So the city main weakness is that is no international airport, making it challenging for business owners to get there. So you should choose another way to reach the city. Okay. However, the salaries of local developers might overlap the disadvantages because you will pay them much less than in big cities. Local IT cluster provides a boost for startups and small businesses, and Sigma Software has recently established its office in Ivano-Frankivsk. And salaries of local mid-level developers were from $22,000 to $33,000 per year. Also, you can take a look on the evaluation of Ivano-Frankivsk on this slide. Okay, let's move on. Cherkasy. Cherkasy is also a small city, but with a booming IT market because it has around 50 companies and 4,000 specialists engaged in the industry. The local developers community is attracting more and more companies. Cherkasy has R&D centers and offices of several international companies like Codenvi, XO Platform, and TransferWise. And the absence of an airport affects getting to the city, so you might have to consider other options like railway or car to visit your remote office. Salaries in Cherkasy are lower than in the cities mentioned above, from $14,000 for mid-level Java developers to $28,000 for PHP software engineers. Also, you can take a look on our evaluation of Cherkasy on this slide. In sum, it has 21 points. Let's move on. In Chernivtsi, there are over 40 IT companies, and the community of the Ukrainian talent pool, there is lower than 1%, about 2,000 persons. It is located in Western Ukraine, and although there is no airport, so you can fly to the neighboring city Lviv, mentioned above, and get to Chernivtsi by car or by train. Voltage has established its outsourcing office in the city, and there is so-called cluster beat, which unites people whose passion is technology. Okay. The salaries of mid-level programmers in Chernivtsi are rather low, so you will save a lot of money on development when opting for this city. In general, the average salaries are about $18,000 per year and to $26,000 per year. The local IT industry has certainly grown rapidly in recent years. However, there are problems. It is difficult to find developers above junior experience level. And a big disadvantage, of course, is the absence of the airport. Zaporizhzhia. You might have heard of Zaporizhzhia since it's one of the largest Ukrainian cities. However, the local IT industry is still on the road to development because there are only about 30 companies. The size of the IT talent pool in Zaporizhzhia is growing, and currently there are 6,000 developers. You can get to the city by air because there is an international airport. A live stream proved that Zaporizhzhia has untapped potential when it outsourced its software development to this city. When considering the most popular programming languages, average salaries range from $19,000 to $30,000, and more detailed information is presented on this slide. Okay. To sum up, one can get to Zaporizhzhia by plane, yet the choice of destinations is limited. The local IT community is rapidly developing, so it is not a challenge to find employees to build an effectively performing team. Since the market is competitive, the salaries have to correspond to the programmer's demands. In case you need middle developers, there is an abundance of such specialists in the city. Thus, the development of a project of any complexity level is achievable in this city. Okay, let's move to Uzhgorod. Uzhgorod is another city located in western part of the country and comprises over 20 companies and 1,500 people engaged in technical and non-technical spheres in this industry. CSIQ and Aston Commerce decided to go with Uzhgorod as their outsourcing destination and haven't miscalculated because the local IT community is constantly implementing new strategies and coming up with unique solutions. Uzhgorod is the city that is located the closest to 12 European capitals, which is also a big advantage. New companies appear regularly in the city. Foreign IT employers establish their offices or local representatives of the IT community and create their own company there. Since it is a rather small city, salaries there are lower than in Kyiv. For example, for middle-level specialists, they start from $18,000 to $24,000 per year. Also, the more detailed information is presented on this slide. Okay. The main disadvantage of the IT industry in Uzhgorod is the small number of candidates with the necessary knowledge, especially of the senior level. You can take a look at Uzhgorod evaluation on this slide. We can give 20 points to Uzhgorod. Okay. Now let's move to Poltava. It is the city that completes our ranking. It is a home to approximately 30 IT companies and has about 3,500 people of the Ukrainian talent pool community. Digicode and Core Value selected it as their outsourcing destination. But Poltava doesn't have an airport, so that you should keep in mind in case you plan to visit your remote teams there. Okay, and for the most interesting point, the annual salaries, on average, they range from $18,000 to $27,000. Okay, the detailed information is here on this slide. Poltava is attractive in the long term due to the fact that the ground for the development of the future IT industry in the region is being prepared now. We give 21 point to Poltava. Okay. To sum up, I can mention that the Ukrainian IT market has vast potential spread over different cities. Business owners are the ones to choose which option suits them better based on the size of their project, budget limits, and the desired programming language and technologies. It's no wonder that the biggest cities, including Kyiv, Lviv, and Kharkiv, they offer the most diverse talent pools, technology stacks, and also travel opportunities. However, they suit best for the projects with big budgets because the salaries of local developers are higher than in other cities. Also, in case you want to save money on software development or your project isn't large enough, you can outsource to smaller cities like Ivano-Frankivsk, Vinnytsia, or Poltava. Dnipro and Odessa are also a great option because many programmers live in these cities, and yet local salaries are equal to those in three first cities. Thus, you can check our summary table of Ukrainian cities capacity on this slide and select the most suitable destination in Ukraine for outsourcing yourself.